Welcome to the No Budget Indie Filmcast, where we dip into the independent film universe to highlight those little films that you might not have heard about elsewhere. We agree with our panel, or will our panel agree with each other? Tune in to find out. I am Milo Dennison, and with me, as always, is Claire Malone
Hello.
and Cathal Feeney.
Hello.
Well, it's been in the news. It won 7 Academy Awards, it won Golden Globes, BAFTAs, and tons of other film awards. And it is called Everything Everywhere All at Once. So we figured we might as well take a look at it for our show and see if it is worthy of those accolades. So the movie stars Michelle Yeoh, Stephanie Sao, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Kwan. And it was written and directed by the Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. And basically what it does is it follows a woman played by Michelle Yeoh who runs a laundromat, and it's kind of a hectic, crazy laundromat. She's married to Kwan's her husband. She's got a father that's living there, and her daughter's kind of off doing her own daughtery thing, but wants to reveal a secret to her grandfather, but the grandfather doesn't want it. They're being audited by the IRS. So she's got all this stuff going on. And then they find out that there is a multiverse and there is a battle in these multiverses. And there's a way to tap into another version of you from one of the other multiverses, to where you then gain that person's experiences and can learn their skills, such as martial arts, which comes in handy in this particular film. So they also find out that there is a person who we, I don't know, might or might not name, who's planning to destroy all of the universes because she has obtained the knowledge of all of the universes. And it's all wrapped up into a black bagel. So Michelle Yeoh's character and Kwan must fight to make this not happen. And we see all these jumps from the different universes, some of them serious, most of them a bit more on the comedic side. The story is quick cut edits all over the place to pull these universes together. You've got this amazing story amongst this family. And I have to be honest, Kwan's performance, it justified all the accolades he's received for it. He was so good in this film. It shows, in my opinion, that Hollywood, you can make a multiverse film that isn't a big budget Marvel action movie, and isn't a sequel, isn't a remake, and isn't filmed, basically. Even the fight sequences aren't filmed in the way that modern movies are often filmed, and have that film be successful. And this wasn't made on a huge budget. In fact, I was listening to a podcast with the cinematographer, and he was talking about how the limitations that they had with cinematography because of the budget limitations, yet they were still able to get this great film made. But in the end, it really is a family piece. It's got comedy, it's got action, but what it comes down to is the relationship between these characters and how they pull together to save the multiverse.
That was a mouthful of a summary. Fair play to you, because it's a difficult film to summarize. I had actually seen this in the cinema a good while back, actually, and it was such a weird title. I couldn't even pronounce it when I got the ticket. I couldn't remember what it was. I just said that film over there, and it was amazing to see it in the big screen because there is so much visual stuff, and it's a very unique film. I've never seen anything quite like it. At first, I didn't know what to make of it. So it took me a while to get into it, but I absolutely loved sorry, the actor's name. What's his name again? Who won the Oscar?
Kwan. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Kwan.
Kwan. But he's just amazing. And the fact I didn't know this, but he actually was a child actor, and he was in Indiana Jones and I think the Goonies as well. And then he stopped acting. He found difficult roles, went back to started being a filmmaker and a stuntman behind the scenes. And I think he choreographed stuff for Wolverine and stuff. And this is kind of, I think, his re-entry into the acting world. And he was talking about this one scene where he has this hat pack, what you call them?
Fanny
pack, what they call it in America. I don't know, bum bag, we call them in Ireland, the UK. But and he used that when he was practicing. He practiced for ages in that the amazing fight sequence. It's a crazy, bizarre film, and yeah, never seen anything like it. It totally blew me away with amazing acting. It's humorous, but also very sad and poignant, and there's so much depth to it, and the relationships between the parents and the daughter, and between the mother and the father, and I thought it was a fantastic film. Absolutely blew me away. And of course, I'm Irish, so I was rooting for the Banshees of Inisherin, which is a very different type of film in the Oscars. But I am delighted this one, and it did deserve the awards. It won at the Oscars.
First of all, Mike, I want to congratulate you on your summary there, and for almost not tripping over the names. uh, I only saw this recently, and I I tried not to read any reviews or get any. Obviously, I knew it was nominated for an Oscar, so it had to be decent. But I tried to go with an open mind. And it is extremely original. And Michelle Yeoh, she was brilliant in it too. It took me about I'd say it took me about half an hour to get into it. And then when I did, okay, this is like this. I see what why people are talking about this film. But at the same time, I'm not sure. Like, is it film in 10 years or 15 years time? I'm going to go, oh, it was brilliant. I think I'd like to watch that again. I don't think so. I mean, it did. I take your points. It was like unique, original. Everything about it. But I'm not sure. Was it as good as some other films that have won Best Picture in the Oscar? And it's nice to see a sort of a comedy sort of thriller win an Oscar as opposed to like a serious drama, definitely. But I don't know. I mean, on reflection, was it such a brilliant film that deserved an Oscar? I'm not sure.
Well, the thing with
So
the Oscars
interesting.
is if you look at most of the films that win, they generally tend to not deserve to win. They're kind of just the most popular films. So I do think this one deserved to win an Oscar because of its originality and its unique take, and the fact that, I mean, when was the last time a movie won Best Picture that involved a fight sequence with butt plugs made out of trophies?
Yes,
Come
that
on.
was absolutely mind-boggling, brilliant. Like if they had an Oscar for choreography or fight sequence, I don't know if they have, but it's yeah, and it also has co-directors. That's unusual to have
Mhm.
two co-direct two Daniels. That is not, you don't really hear much of that. And if you do, it's usually Fallout or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you make the point you make about it about going for this type of film. That I think one of the reasons they did is because it was popular. That in recent years, it's kind of been more obscure films have won. And I was reading that I think at last year's Oscars that more people watched the dog show or something in the US than actually the Oscars. So they're trying to like broaden the appeal, and that's why they had films like not necessarily this, but I think Top Gun and Avatar and stuff like that. They had them sort of nominated. So I think that might be part of it. I don't want to denigrate this film in any way, but it's like we're asking the question: did it deserve an Oscar? Like, did it deserve all the Oscars? Like, for instance, I think I read that it was the I think it was the only film to win all the major Oscars in one year. Like best film, best directors, best actor, best actress. Now, I don't think, for
Didn't
instance,
take best lead actor because they entered Kwan in best supporting male versus best lead male.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, okay. He's a definitely lead actor in this.
Yeah, but you could
okay,
tell
That's a
like
bit.
they're thinking of like what's he going to win. Everybody kind of knew Brendan Fraser was going to win that, so it's like,
Yeah.
well, he could win this.
yeah, okay, yeah, I don't like that technical kind of positioning. They did the same with the Banshees of Inisherin, I
Yeah.
think.
Brendan
Um,
Gleeson was lead. He was co-lead to
yeah.
Colin Farrell.
Mhm.
Like Jamie Lee Curtis, like
Oh, I loved her in
why in
this.
this? I don't think it was an Oscar-worthy
No,
performance,
no.
really.
Carrie
Uh,
Condon should have won for Banshees, I thought.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's another one of those like she's been in the
Mm.
business for a long time, kind of. So I mean, let's disregard because I'm generally think the Oscars are a joke, anyways. I mean, I think this was
All
just
right. Okay.
the little film that could and just kind of kept building up, but put it on its own, right?
Okay.
Disregarding all of the rest of that. Let's look at it from originality. It did really well with an original story by these filmmakers that they haven't really done a whole lot. They've done films and they're all kind of apparently quite quirky like this and a bit offbeat. So to take kind of a quirky offbeat story, it had a pretty small budget, like I mentioned, um, and uh, and to come up with a lot of like the effects in this. Most of those effects are practical effects. There's not a lot of like CGI or anything like that.
Oh,
And to tie all that in from an editing standpoint, I mean, we've all done editing. I mean, imagine editing this film
Oh, yeah.
together to get what they got out of it. I think it's quite just putting it on its own.
Did it
Just,
win Best Editing as well? Did it?
I think it did actually.
Okay. Yeah.
And that one it definitely deserved. But disregarding awards,
Yeah.
okay. Forget about the awards.
yes, best film editing to answer the question.
Okay. Actually, I thought that the girl in that, Stephanie Hugh, speaking of awards, I thought she was more deserving of the award. If I don't, but then she was even nominated. Anyway, but we're not talking about awards. Yeah, like it was a really good film. No, let's I'll park that there. Yeah, it was very good. Yeah, and it was entertaining. It was enjoyable. Yeah, it was good comedic moments. But I don't know. Like they're definitely, as I said, are are films. And I'm going to say the Oscar again. That that I would I would I would rate higher, yeah, than this.
Because like think about
Mm.
like how it took you from like comedy to drama to this heartfelt emotion moments and just all this other stuff that it was able to just bounce around all of that so quick and you went along with it. Like those scenes, especially between Kwan and Michelle Yeoh, where it's like you have that moment where she's like, I just saw my entire life without you, and it was wonderful. Like
Oh,
imagine
yeah.
standing there and hearing this from somebody, and you're like, what the fuck? But it was so heartfelt and like, and the way his reaction when he wants a divorce, but then he like follows her out because he doesn't want a divorce. He's trying to get some kind of reaction out of her, and just his emotions that he's able to draw from, especially considering the fact that he basically kind of gave up on acting for quite a number of years, because he wasn't getting the work, and then to be able to come back and do
Amazing.
martial arts and this range of these kind of performances.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, I did like that idea, that concept, where because she was able to experience everything at the same time, that she lost all sense of sort of humanity, that life was just so random that nothing mattered really. That was kind of clever and sort of disturbing when they were able to sort of draw her back and uh, show her that actually, yeah, things doesn't matter. Yeah, life doesn't matter. So it was, it was very good, very, very, uh, very clever. The story, the way they kind of integrate the human interest story with the sci-fi multiverse thing. Yeah, it was all very well done, for sure.
Didn't your heart break just a little bit, Cahill, when the rock was going towards the edge and then the other rock with the googly eyes
Oh
was
yeah,
going
yeah.
after?
Yes.
It's like,
Oh
no,
my
don't.
God.
Yeah, I love the rock scene was probably my favorite actually. The
Heartbreaking.
whole
Like
film.
two
Mm.
inanimate objects just, oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like there was a lot of originality definitely in the
Mm.
film. Um, but then I suppose you end up with sort of your schmaltzy, the old of happily ever
You
after
couldn't
ending.
predict what was going to happen. You couldn't really predict what was going to happen next. That was fascinating.
No,
Yeah,
no,
that's the
and
thing.
a lot of these films, you do become a bit confused about the storyline because they're throwing so much at you, and they're explaining so much, and uh, something you just have to you go with the flow. You go, okay, well, I know roughly what they're trying to achieve here. Yeah, but
Yeah, you
like
definitely have.
sometimes,
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, sometimes they get to the end and you go, well, they're made up, and I'm not totally sure, what they had to do to get there, but I'm glad it's over now. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I just was saying, like, yeah, with these types of movies, you kind of got to accept the reality of
Yeah.
this world because if you think about it too much, you're like, there's no way. Like, come on, how could a race evolve that has hot dogs for fingers, kind of thing? Like that's
Oh
impossible.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
so
like,
good. So good. Like that's so inventive. I mean, they must have had great fun writing this.
you know what we need? People with hot dogs. Um, but
I thought I thought they overdid that hot dog thing a little bit. Like it was
yeah,
funny the first time, and then about the 10th time, it's okay. We get it. They have hot dogs for fingers.
played it too much.
What a ridiculous idea! And they kind of robbed that from The Simpsons, didn't they? Remember the
Yeah,
time we
there's
had the
certainly
toast?
stuff. I mean, and they threw an homage to 2001: A Space Odyssey as well, like when they introduced them because they were the monkeys with hot dog fingers
Yes.
doing the
Oh
thing.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, certainly they pulled from other films for this.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
but I think that as long as they did it in a way where they're like, see, we're pulling from these films, so it's not like they're trying to like steal in so
Yeah.
much as, and even cinematography wise, he was talking about how like each of the worlds you'd use like different lenses on the camera. So some of them used certain types of lenses to give it a certain look, and different lenses. So just the way they filmed and the lighting and everything, and like that parking lot scene with the raccoon world where they're running after the raccoon, they had this idea of like how they were going to light it, but they didn't have the ability to do it. So it's actually pretty much all just the natural lighting from that scene. And it was shot in a very short period of time. So like the training scenes where she's doing like the pinky training and those scenes or whatever were shot in like a day or whatever. And having been on a film set where you spend an entire day shooting a sequence that actually ends up for 30 seconds on film, the fact that they were able to get so much done in such a short period of time of like being really focused. But it probably helped too in the sense that there's not a whole lot of locations. There's the IRS office, which is where most of it takes place, the laundromat, a few other locations. I'm sure that helped in cutting cost and planning and stuff because I'm sure they had to plan a lot of it out in advance before they got the leads on there and everything.
Do you know what the budget was for this? How much did they
Let's
make it for?
IMDb
13
has
million.
Yeah.
uh,
Probably it came in at a snip at $100 million.
Yeah, cheap, very
uh
cheap.
Yeah.
no 14 million.
Oh
14 million.
really?
Yeah.
That's for this type of
Oh,
film. That's amazing.
Yeah.
that's what I spent on my last short.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Come on, that's practically nothing.
They
I
must have
know,
made
yeah,
it
yeah.
back. How
God,
much did
yeah,
they
I mean,
make?
that
Yeah,
was like the tea bag budget nearly.
yeah, totally. Um,
They must have made 100 million back in it. Probably.
so far the worldwide gross, according to IMDb, is 135 million on a 14 million budget.
Incredible profit, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
For an
Gosh.
original story. You heard that, Hollywood? An
Wow.
original story.
Wow.
Yeah. So now you go out there and make it 10
Yes.
sequels.
Yeah.
Uh,
And be like, okay, what happened to
yeah,
Michelle Yeoh's character next? Or the daughter at least.
exactly. Yeah, don't I shouldn't say that. God.
Because that's what they
Um,
do. And hopefully won't.
there's a lot to be said for it. I
Mhm.
know. I do like. I mean, I'm with you on the whole kind of fight scene thing. I hate those scenes where they edit the crap out of it. You just don't. It just annoys you. Uh, watching it, you don't know what's happening, and it's just somebody trying to show off their editing skills or something. I like being able to see what's happening.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Yeah. And even though, it was ridiculous, you could see it. you know,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you know what's going on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right, guys. Well, is it rating time?
Mhm.
Mhm.
All right, I'll go first then. We'll build up to a crescendo. Um, like I don't. I mean, I suppose if we take our aim at it, okay, just film on its own. regardless of anything that happened a couple of weeks ago. There's a lot to recommend it. I'll give it 4 stars.
Okay. So for me, fantastic acting. It absolutely blew me away for the originality. Yeah, I just really enjoyed it, and it definitely stayed with me afterwards. It was incredible film, 5 stars.
Yeah, I love this film across the board. It's beautiful to look at. The story's great. The acting's great. The fact that they did it on Hollywood low budget, not our version of a low budget, but Hollywood low budget, and got all of this out of it. 5-star. It absolutely deserves the accolades across the board. Great film. Well, there you have it, No Budget audience. We really enjoyed this film. You can always follow us and let us know what you thought at what are we at No Budget Show on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. And with that, we'll say see you next time, and goodbye.
But